With the Easter long weekend coming, bank card fraud is likely to be on the rise. People may have their cards cloned or swapped or even tapped if they are not vigilant enough. We have roped in Arthur Goldstuck, founder of technology market research organization Wide Worx. Mr. Goldstuck, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to SA Today.
Good afternoon. A pleasure to be with you.
Now, Mr. Goldstuck, is there typically an increase in card-related fraud over the holiday period, like the Easter weekend in South Africa? If so, why is that?
There's a massive increase in card fraud over long weekends and holiday periods. And the reason is very simple. A lot more people are traveling, but more than that, a lot of people are going into areas that they're not familiar with. So, for example, when they use an ATM or a point of sale device, typically it's somewhere that they're not used to commonly transacting or using their cards. So they're not aware of issues or dangers or dodgy people around or even dodgy machines. Yeah. And generally speaking, when they're traveling, they're likely to go into places like petrol stations, rest stops, and so on, where they complete strangers. And you can be sure that there are other strangers waiting there to take advantage of them.
And what kinds of card fraud are most prevalent during these times? I mean, is it card skimming, phishing, online fraud, or others? And are there any specific hotspots or channels like ATMs, online shopping, restaurants? And it's quite interesting that you mentioned dodgy machines where consumers are more vulnerable during the long weekends.
There's two or three of the most common scams that you're going to come across as a traveler. And probably the single worst one is ATM card swapping, where a scammer hangs around at an ATM and offers to help when the ATM gives an error. So they might, for example, jam the ATM, stick chewing gum or press stick even inside the slot. And when the card goes in and doesn't come out, they immediately jump forward to offer to help, sometimes even claiming to work there. And then they get you to enter your PIN. They watch it very closely or surreptitiously even, and then they swap your card with a fake one. And that happens commonly at petrol stations when people are traveling, at rest stops as well, and then also in city centers, like going through the cities en route to your final destination. There's a good chance you're going to stop at a petrol station or an ATM. So the advice there is never to accept help from anyone at an ATM and to cover your hand when you're typing your PIN. So if your card is taken or there's an unusual ejection, you need to cancel the transaction straight away.
Right.
The second one is skimming devices. And this sounds like almost science fiction, but where you have ATMs or card machines that are not staffed, in other words, they're in quiet areas or small shops or clearly an ATM that's out of the way, it's very easy for these scammers to spend a bit of time setting up a small card reader that they install on the machine. And when you put your card into the machine, it can clone your card data. I've even heard of people using tiny cameras to record your PIN at those kinds of locations. And as I say, it's not common at ATMs, but in less secure places and unstaffed locations or even small shops, it's a big danger. So the advice there is that you should stick to ATMs that are inside bank branches or inside malls, hopefully where there's security around as well. And especially look at the machine before you use it. And if it looks like someone's tampered with it, then walk away.
And having said that, Mr. Goldstuck, what are the signs that an ATM machine has been tampered with? What should we look out for?
Firstly, if it looks like the slot is obstructed by anything, whether it's paper, whether it's sticky tape or press stick or anything like that, then you must know someone's trying to pull a scam. But also, if it's difficult to read the instructions or it's a damaged looking machine or it's a very old looking machine, there's a good chance that it's not even a real machine. So just be aware of the machine you're using. And if it looks like one that you don't think that the bank would be proud of having out there, then chances are you shouldn't be using it either.
And in terms of protecting bank cards, what are the top 5 things consumers can do right now to protect their bank cards and information? And just how important is it to notify your bank when you're traveling or making unusual transactions?
Well, the great thing nowadays is that most banks offer virtual cards,
yes,
especially for online payments and app payments. And I strongly urge everyone to set up virtual cards if their app allows it, and to use those for any payment involving your phone. Because when you tap and pay with your phone, which is now very commonplace, you can use those virtual card numbers.
Yeah.
And the beauty of those numbers is that the PIN changes all the time. So if someone clones your virtual card number or manages to copy it, even if they manage to get your PIN, they're not going to be able to use that PIN the next time. So that's the first step. The second one is to set low transaction limits. And that means that if you do get scammed, that you're not going to be damaged too severely. And you need to obviously be very alert to transaction notifications. And if there is a notification and you didn't spend the money, you've got to immediately report it to the bank or cancel the card. And that tells you also that you need to enable alerts via your bank app or via SMS to track any card transactions, especially while you're traveling. And then just as a backup, you should have a second card from a different account. Not easy for everybody to have, but these days there are a lot of low-cost bank accounts that you can open. And I would recommend that anyone have a secondary card that they keep separate from the main card. So if they do lose the main one, they're not stranded.
All right, Mr. Goldstuck, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your words of advice. That was Arthur Goldstuck. He's the founder of technology market research organization Wide Worx, and just taking us through what we can do to protect ourselves as we approaching the Easter long weekend.